The council chamber was huge. Taiwan stood in the center looking up at the alien faces staring down at him. Some had 4 eyes, some had scales, some looked like floating clouds of gas, but all of them looked angry or scared, maybe both. Taiwan was tired. He had been traveling for 3 weeks to get here. His gray suit was wrinkled. His black hair had more white in it than he remembered. He was 58 years old, and right now he felt every single year. The Vrillian delegate stood up. Vrillians were tall, with red skin and thick armor covering their bodies. This one was named Thalrix. He pointed a clawed finger at Taiwan. "Look at this evidence," Thalrix said. His voice was deep and harsh. "The humans have records of over 10,000 wars. They have weapons that can destroy entire planets. They know how to kill in ways we cannot imagine. And now they want to join our peaceful galaxy?" A screen appeared in the air above Taiwan. Images flashed across it. Explosions, burning cities, soldiers fighting, dead bodies. The images came from Earth's history: World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, and hundreds more. Taiwan watched the screen. He had seen these images before. Everyone on Earth had. They taught them in schools. They showed them in museums. These were the wounds of humanity, the scars that never fully healed. "The humans are dangerous," another alien said. This one looked like a giant insect. "They should not be allowed to have weapons in space. They should not be allowed to travel freely. We must protect ourselves." Other aliens nodded. Some made clicking sounds, some changed colors. All of them agreed. Taiwan took a deep breath. He knew this would be hard. He knew they would be afraid. But he had to try. "May I speak?" he asked. The council leader, a being, made of crystal that reflected light in beautiful patterns, gestured for him to continue. "You are right," Taiwan said. "We have fought many wars. We have killed millions of our own people. We have invented terrible weapons. All of this is true." The aliens looked confused. They expected him to argue, to deny, to make excuses. But, "You are showing only half of the story," Taiwan continued. "You see what we did. But you do not see what we learned. You do not see why we resist war now." "Words are empty," Thalrix said. "You say you want peace, but your history says you want war." "Then let me show you something else," Taiwan said. He pressed a button on his wrist device. The screen changed. Now it showed a different kind of image. A memorial wall in Washington, D.C., covered with names of dead soldiers. A museum in Hiroshima, showing the shadows of people burned into walls by atomic fire. A field in France covered with endless rows of white crosses. A village in Korea, where old people left flowers for family members who died 70 years ago. "These are our memorials," Taiwan said quietly. "We do not celebrate war. We remember the people we lost. We remember the pain. We remember the cost." The council chamber was quiet now. The aliens watched the images. "Every human culture has these," Taiwan said. "Places where we remember death. Places where we say never again. We teach our children about these places. We make them understand what war really means." A door opened at the side of the chamber. An old woman walked in slowly. She was very old. Her face had deep wrinkles. Her hair was completely white. She walked with a cane, but she stood straight and proud. "This is Ji-hyun," Taiwan said. "She is a historian. She studies human wars. She knows more about our violence than anyone alive. I asked her to come here today." Ji-hyun walked to the center of the chamber. She looked up at the aliens with clear, steady eyes. "I have spent my whole life studying war," Ji-hyun said. Her voice was strong despite her age. "I have read every battle report. I have seen every weapon. I have counted every death. Do you know what I learned?" The aliens waited. "War is a disease," Ji-hyun said. "It spreads like a virus. It infects the mind. It destroys not just bodies but souls. And once you have had this disease, you are never the same." She pressed her own wrist device. The screen changed again. This time it showed medical data. Brain scans, psychology reports, statistics about mental health. After every war, millions of our soldiers came home broken, Ji-hyun said. They could not sleep. They had nightmares. They jumped at loud noises. Some killed themselves years after the fighting ended. We call this trauma. And it does not just affect soldiers, it affects their families, their children, their grandchildren. The insect-like alien leaned forward. You are saying war hurts the winners too? War has no winners, Ji-hyun said, only survivors. And survivors carry scars forever. Thalric stood up again. This is just emotion, just feelings. It does not change the fact that humans know how to fight. That makes them dangerous. You are right again, Taewon said. We do know how to fight. But let me ask you something. If you touch fire and get burned, do you touch it again? No, Thalric said. That would be stupid. Exactly, Taewon said. We touched fire for 10,000 years. We got burned over and over. We lost billions of people. We destroyed our own world and had to fix it. Now you ask us why we resist war. We resist war because we know exactly what it costs. And we decided the cost is too high. Another alien spoke up. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles. But you still have weapons, you still have armies. Yes, Taewon admitted. We do. Because we learned another lesson too. Sometimes peace requires strength. But there is a difference between having weapons and wanting to use them. We have fire extinguishers in our homes. That does not mean we want fires. Ji-hyun nodded. We train our soldiers, yes. But we also train them in something else. We teach them about the cost of war. Every soldier in the human military must visit the war memorials. They must learn the history. They must understand what they might be asked to do. And most importantly, they must learn when not to fight. The screen changed one more time. It showed classrooms on Earth, young people learning about peace negotiations, about diplomacy, about conflict resolution. It showed universities dedicated to studying peace, research centers working on better communication between cultures, programs teaching people how to solve problems without violence. We invested more money in preventing war than in preparing for war, Taewon said. We created entire fields of study dedicated to peace. We trained diplomats with the same intensity that we once trained soldiers, because we learned that preventing war takes more skill than fighting one. The crystal leader of the council spoke for the first time. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. This is interesting, but how do we know you will not change your minds? How do we know that one day, you will not decide to use all that knowledge of war against us? Taewon looked directly at the crystal being. Because we have children, and we love them more than we hate anyone. Every parent on Earth looks at their child and thinks, I will not let them experience what we experienced. That is stronger than any law, stronger than any treaty. It is the deepest promise humans can make. Ji-hyun added, our grandparents fought in terrible wars. Our parents grew up in the shadow of those wars. My generation studied those wars. And we all agreed on one thing. Our children deserve better. That is why humans resist war. Not because we are weak. Not because we are afraid. But because we love our children more than we love victory. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. The aliens looked at each other. Some seemed thoughtful. Some still seemed scared. Thalric sat down slowly, his expression unreadable. Finally, the crystal leader spoke. We will consider what you have said. The council will vote in 3 days. Until then, Ambassador Taewon and historian Ji-hyun, you may stay as our guests. Taewon bowed. Ji-hyun bowed. They walked out of the chamber together. Outside, Ji-hyun leaned heavily on her cane. Do you think they understood? She asked quietly. Taewon looked back at the closed doors of the council chamber. I do not know. But we told them the truth. That is all we can do. The truth is complicated, Ji-hyun said. Yes, Taewon agreed. But it is still the truth. We are not peaceful because we cannot fight. We are peaceful because we know the cost of fighting. I hope they understand the difference. They walked down the long corridor together, two humans, in a galaxy full of aliens, carrying the weight of their species' bloody history and their hope for a peaceful future. The next morning, Taewon woke up in his guest quarters. The room was nice but strange. The bed was too soft. The walls changed colors based on his mood, which was confusing. He missed Earth already. His wrist device buzzed. It was Ji-hyun. "They want us back at the council," her message said. 1 hour. Thalrix requested something special. Taewon felt his stomach tighten. Special requests were never good. When they arrived at the council chamber, something was different. The room was darker. The seats were arranged differently. And in the center of the room stood an old man in a wheelchair. The man was ancient. His face was like dried paper. His hands shook slightly, but his eyes were bright and alert. He wore a simple gray uniform with medals on the chest. "This is Young-ho," Ji-hyun said softly to Taewon. "I called him last night. I hope that was okay." Taewon stared at her. "You brought a veteran here?" "Thalrix wanted proof," Ji-hyun said. "I am giving him proof." The aliens filed into the chamber. They looked curious now, not just angry. Thalrix was the last to enter. He stared at Young-ho for a long moment. "How old is this human?" Thalrix asked. "I am 203 years old," Young-ho said. His voice was rough but clear. "I was born in 1822. I fought in the Korean War when I was 18. That was 185 years ago," the aliens whispered among themselves. 200 years was old even by their standards. "Medical technology kept you alive?" the jellyfish alien asked. "Yes," Young-ho said. "But sometimes I wonder if that was a kindness or a curse." Thalrix stepped closer. "Why are you here, old human?" "Because someone needs to remember," Young-ho said. "Someone needs to tell you what war really is. Not from books. Not from screens. From memory," the crystal leader spoke. "We have prepared the empathy transmitter. If you agree, Young-ho, we can all experience your memories directly. We will feel what you felt, see what you saw. Is that acceptable?" Young-ho nodded slowly. "Yes, that is why I came." A device lowered from the ceiling. It looked like a crown made of silver light. Young-ho did not flinch as they placed it on his head. The aliens put on smaller devices that wrapped around their heads or bodies or whatever they used for heads. Taewon and Ji-hyun wore them too. "I am ready," Young-ho said. "I will show you the day I learned to hate war." The lights in the chamber dimmed. And then Taewon was not in the chamber anymore. He was standing in a village, a Korean village in winter. Snow covered the ground. Small houses with tiled roofs lined a dirt road. Smoke rose from chimneys. Children played in the snow, laughing. But Taewon was not watching the village as himself. He was watching through Young-ho's eyes. He was 18 years old. He was walking home with rice for his family. His mother was cooking dinner. His little sister was doing her homework. His father was fixing the fence. Life was normal, simple, good. Then the sound came. It started as a distant rumble. Then it got louder. Planes, not just one or two. Dozens of them. The sky turned black with them. "Get inside." Someone screamed. Young-ho dropped the rice. He ran toward his house. His mother was in the doorway calling for his sister. His father was already running toward them. The first bomb hit the other side of the village. The explosion was so loud it felt like the world was breaking. The ground shook. Windows shattered. People screamed. Young-ho reached his house. He grabbed his mother's hand. "Where is Sumi?" he shouted. His sister. Where was his sister? "She went to get water," his mother cried. The well was at the center of the village. Young-ho ran. His legs felt like they were moving through mud. Everything was in slow motion. Smoke filled the air. People were running everywhere. Someone was on fire, rolling in the snow. He reached the well. Sumi was there, frozen in fear, staring up at the plains. She was only 7 years old. She held a wooden bucket in both hands. "Sumi!" Young-ho screamed. She looked at him. She smiled. She was about to run to him. The bomb hit 20 feet away. The world turned white, then red, then black. When Young-ho woke up, he was in a hospital. His ears were ringing. His left arm was bandaged. A nurse with a tired face was checking his pulse. "Your family?" Young-ho asked. His voice did not sound like his voice. The nurse looked away. "Your family?" Young-ho asked again, louder. "I am sorry," the nurse said. In the council chamber, Taewon felt tears on his face. He was not the only one. Several aliens were making sounds of distress. Even Thalrix had stepped back, his clawed hands shaking, but the memory was not over. Young-ho showed them the next 10 years. He showed them joining the army because he had nothing left. He showed them fighting, killing, watching friends die. He showed them the nightmares that came after. The way he could not sleep without seeing Sumi's face. The way loud noises made him dive for cover. The way he could not be around children because they reminded him of his sister. He showed them 50 years of therapy. Talking to doctors. Taking medicine. Trying to be normal. Learning to live with the hole in his heart where his family used to be. He showed them the memorial he visited every year. The stone with his family's names. The way he left flowers and cried and asked them to forgive him for not saving them. He showed them, turning 100 years old and realizing he had spent more time mourning his family than he had spent knowing them. The memory ended. The lights came back on. The empathy transmitter powered down. Young-ho sat in his wheelchair, breathing heavily. Tears ran down his wrinkled face. The council chamber was completely silent. Many of the aliens were crying or showing whatever signs of distress their species showed. The insect alien had turned completely blue. The jellyfish alien's tentacles hung limp. Even the crystal leader's light had dimmed. Thalrix slowly walked to Young-ho. The big Vrillian knelt down so he was at eye level with the old man. "I am sorry," Thalrix said. His harsh voice was gentle now. "I did not understand." Young-ho looked at him with tired eyes. "Now you do. This is what war is. Not strategy, not glory, not honor. This, loss, pain, memories that poison your whole life." "But you survived," Thalrix said. "Did I?" Young-ho asked. "Sometimes I think the real Young-ho died that day in the village. Everything after was just a ghost pretending to be alive." Ji-hyun knelt beside the wheelchair. She took Young-ho's shaking hand. "You are not a ghost. You are a witness. You are proof of what war costs." Young-ho nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what I am. A witness. That is why I agreed to live this long. Someone has to remember. Someone has to tell the young ones this is what war really is. Not the exciting stories. Not the heroic tales. This," the crystal leader spoke. Its voice was softer than before. "I have been alive for 3,000 years. I have seen many things, but I have never felt anything like that." "Is this what all your wars were like?" "Yes," Taewon said. "All of them. Millions of stories like Young-ho's. Billions of people who lost everything. That is why we resist war. Not because we forgot how to fight, but because we remember exactly what fighting costs." An alien Taewon had not heard speak before raised a tentacle. It looked like a tree with glowing bark. "But the Vrillians are right about one thing. You still remember how to fight. What if you get angry? What if someone threatens you?" Young-ho answered. "If someone threatened Earth, I would fight again. I would die to protect my world. But I would not be happy about it. I would not celebrate it. I would mourn every person who died, enemy or friend. And after I would work to make sure it never happened again. That is the difference. We do not love war. We love peace. War is something we do when every other choice is taken from us." Thalrix stood up. He looked at the other council members. "I have been a warrior my whole life. 400 years. I thought I understood war. I thought war was about strength and courage and victory. But now I see I understood nothing. War is not glorious. War is this, what we just felt." He turned to Taewon. "I withdraw my objection. Humans should not be quarantined. They should be honored. Anyone who has suffered this much and still chooses peace is stronger than any warrior I have ever known." The crystal leader's light grew brighter. "I agree. But I have a question for Young-ho. If you could go back, would you still fight, knowing what it would cost?" Young-ho was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "Yes, because someone had to try to stop it. Someone had to protect the other villages, the other families. I failed to save my own family, but maybe I helped save someone else's. That has to mean something. That has to be enough." "It is enough," Ji-hyun said softly. "You are a hero, Young-ho." "No," Young-ho said. "Heroes are in stories. I am just a man who lost everything and spent 200 years learning to live with that loss. The real heroes are the ones who find ways to prevent war, who solve problems before bombs start falling, who protect children without needing weapons. Those are heroes." The council session ended soon after. The aliens needed time to process what they had experienced. Taewon helped Ji-hyun wheel Young-ho back to the guest quarters. "Thank you for coming," Taewon said to the old veteran. I know that was hard. Young Ho shook his head. It needed to be done. If my pain can prevent someone else's pain, then maybe it was worth something. Maybe Sumi would be proud of me. She would be, Ji-hyun said. You saved many lives today. Not with weapons. With truth. That night, Tae-won stood at the window of his quarters looking out at the alien stars. He thought about Young Ho's memories. About all the... 3 months had passed since the council hearing. The decision was still pending, but humanity was allowed limited movement in the galaxy. Captain Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship, the Remembrance, and tried not to look nervous. His crew was small. Only 40 people. The ship was not big either, maybe the size of 2 football fields. It was designed for peaceful exploration, not war. But it had weapons. Just in case, Captain, Mi-young said from the communications station. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and quick fingers that flew over her controls. The Vrillian fleet is hailing us. Put them on screen, Dong-hyun said. The screen showed a Vrillian commander. He looked like Thalrix but older, with more scars on his armor. His name was Gorval. Human vessel, Gorval said. His tone was not friendly. You will follow our lead. Do not interfere with our survey operations. Do not question our commands. Is this clear? Dong-hyun bit back his first response. Instead, he said, crystal clear, Commander. We are here to observe and assist if needed. You are here because the Council ordered it, Gorval said. I did not want humans on this mission, but I follow orders. Stay out of our way. The screen went black. Kyung-soo, the tactical officer, whistled low. Friendly guy. Can you blame him? Dong-hyun said. He probably grew up hearing that humans are violent and dangerous. We need to prove him wrong. Bora looked up from her station. She was the ship's xenoanthropologist, which meant she studied alien cultures. She was older than most of the crew, maybe 40, with gray starting to show in her hair. Captain, I have been studying Vrillian culture. They value strength above all else. To them, refusing to fight looks like weakness. Then we will show them there is strength in peace too, Dong-hyun said. The fleet moved deeper into space. They were surveying a region that 3 different species claimed. The goal was to map resources and establish who had the legal right to mine there. It was boring work, slow and careful. 2 weeks passed without incident. The Vrillians mostly ignored the Remembrance. Dong-hyun's crew did their job and stayed quiet. Then the Screeth appeared. Contact, Mi-young shouted. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They are not broadcasting identification codes. Dong-hyun's heart jumped. Battle stations. But do not charge weapons yet. The Screeth were a mystery species. Not much was known about them. They looked like giant reptiles with 6 limbs and bony plates covering their bodies. Their ships were angular and aggressive-looking. 10 Screeth ships surrounded the fleet. They are targeting us, Kyung-soo said. His voice was steady, but his hands were tense on his controls. The Vrillian commander's face appeared on screen. All ships prepare for combat. Humans, stay back. We will handle this. Wait, Dong-hyun said. Let me try to talk to them first. There is no talking with Screeth, Gorval said. They attack survey fleets. That is what they do. Now stay out of our way. The Vrillian ships began charging their weapons. Dong-hyun made a decision. Mi-young, open a channel to the Screeth. All frequencies. Use every first contact protocol we have. Sir, they might just shoot us, Mi-young said. They might, Dong-hyun agreed. Do it anyway. Mi-young's fingers danced across her controls. Channel open. You are live, Captain. Dong-hyun took a breath. Screeth vessels, this is Captain Dong-hyun of the human ship Remembrance. We mean you no harm. We are here to survey this region, not to invade or attack. Please respond. We want to talk. Silence. Screeth vessels, we understand you may not trust us. We are new here. But humans have learned that most conflicts come from misunderstanding. Please give us a chance to understand each other. More silence. Then the Screeth ships opened fire. Evasive maneuvers, Dong-hyun shouted. Shields up! But do not return fire. The Remembrance twisted and turned as energy blasts streaked past. The Vrillian ships fired back. The space between the fleets filled with explosions and light. Captain, we need to shoot back, Kyung-soo said. They are targeting our engines. Negative, Dong-hyun said. Deploy defensive screens. Protect the Vrillian ships closest to us. Protect the Vrillians? Sir, they can protect themselves. Do it. Kyung-soo muttered something under his breath but followed orders. The Remembrance moved between the Scrathfire and two Vrillian vessels, taking hits on its shields. Shield strength at 70%, Mi-Young reported. 60%. 50. Captain, one of the Scrath ships is breaking formation, Bo-Ra said. It is moving toward that asteroid cluster. Dong-Hyun looked at the tactical display. The asteroid cluster was nearby. And in the middle of it was something strange. Energy readings that did not match the rocks. Kyung-Soo scanned those asteroids. What is in there? Kyung-Soo worked his controls. His eyes widened. Captain, there are life signs. Thousands of them. I think it is a colony. A Scrath colony. Understanding hit Dong-Hyun like a punch. They are not attacking us. They are defending their home. What? Mi-Young said. Look at their formation. They are not trying to destroy us. They are trying to push us away from the asteroids. Mi-Young, tell the Vrillians to stop firing. Tell them there is a colony there. Mi-Young opened a channel. Vrillian fleet, cease fire! There is a Scrath colony in those asteroids. They are defending their home, not attacking randomly. Gorval's face appeared on screen. Impossible. There were no colonies marked on any maps. This region is empty. It is not empty, Dong-Hyun said. We are scanning it right now. There are thousands of life signs. Breeding grounds, I think. We are threatening their children. For a moment, Gorval said nothing. Then, all Vrillian ships cease fire. The shooting stopped. The Scrath ship stopped too, confused. Captain, they are hailing us, Mi-Young said. The Scrath. Put them on. The screen showed a Scrath. It was massive, with scars across its bony plates. Its eyes were yellow and sharp. It spoke in clicks and hisses that the computer translated. Why did you stop shooting? The Scrath asked. Because we understand now, Dong-Hyun said. You were protecting your colony. Your children. We did not know they were there. We are sorry for the intrusion. The Scrath tilted its head. You are sorry? Invaders are never sorry. We are not invaders, Dong-Hyun said. We are surveyors. We did not know you lived here. If we had known, we would not have come. We have no interest in harming your people. Lies, the Scrath said. All species lie. Bo-Ra leaned forward. Captain, let me try. I have been studying their body language. I think I can communicate better. Dong-Hyun nodded. Go ahead, Bo-Ra stood up. She made a gesture, touching her chest and then extending her hand. The Scrath's eyes narrowed. You know the greeting of peace? It asked. I studied your culture, Bo-Ra said. I know that Scrath value family above all else. I know that breeding grounds are sacred. I know that defending children is the highest honor. We did not mean to threaten your sacred places. Please believe us. The Scrath was quiet for a long moment. Then it made a gesture, touching its own chest and extending a clawed hand. You speak truth, the Scrath said. I sense it. But the other ships, the ones with red skin, they will not stop. They will keep coming. No, a new voice said. Gorval's face appeared in a split screen beside the Scrath. We will not. The human speaks truth. We did not know you were here. We will leave and mark this region as Scrath territory. You would do this? The Scrath asked. Just leave? Yes, Gorval said. He sounded tired. Because the humans have taught me something today. War should be a last choice, not a first one. The Scrath leader looked at Dong-Hyun. What are humans? We are a species that learned the cost of war, Dong-Hyun said. We do not want others to pay that cost if it can be avoided. You fight to not fight? Yes. The Scrath made a sound that might have been a laugh. That is strange, but maybe it is wise, very well. We will not attack if you leave now. We will leave immediately, Gorval said. The screen went dark. The Scrath ships moved back toward the asteroid colony. The Vrillian ships began to retreat. Dong-Hyun sat down in his captain's chair. His hands were shaking, sir, Mi-Young said. Our shields are at 30%. We took a lot of hits. Worth it, Dong-Hyun said. Kyung-Soo turned around in his seat. Captain, we could have just destroyed them. We had superior numbers. And then what? Dong-Hyun asked. We would have killed parents defending their children. We would have destroyed a colony. And for what? The right to mine rocks? No, that is not worth it. That is never worth it, Bo-Ra smiled. You did good, Captain. We all did good, Dong-Hyun said. We proved that humans can be trusted. We proved that peace is possible even in tense situations. A message came through from the Vrillian flagship. It was Gorval. Human captain, come aboard my ship. We need to talk. Dong-Hyun took a shuttle to the Vrillian flagship. Gorval met him in a large room filled with weapons on the walls. Trophies from battles, probably. You risked your ship to protect mine, Gorval said. Why? Because we are on the same mission, Donghyun said. Because letting you get destroyed would have started a war. Because protecting others is what we believe in. Gorval studied him. Your shields were at 30%. You could have died. Yes, that is not logical. Maybe not, Donghyun agreed. But it was right. Gorval walked to a window that looked out at the stars. I have been a warrior for 400 years. I have fought in 50 battles. I have killed thousands of enemies. And I thought that made me strong. But today The council chamber was crowded. More aliens had come this time. Representatives from 17 different species filled the seats. They all wanted to hear the final decision about humanity. Sujin stood in the center of the chamber. She was 60 years old, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had been Earth's senior counselor for 15 years. She had negotiated treaties with 6 different alien species. She was good at her job. But today she was nervous. Next to her stood Young Ho in his wheelchair. And next to him stood Captain Dong Hyun, still in his uniform from the Remembrance. The 3 of them represented humanity's case, but across from them stood Tholrix and 10 other Vrillian warriors. They looked serious, maybe angry. The Crystal Leader called the session to order. We are here to make a final decision. The Vrillians have requested to speak first. Sujin's heart sank. That was not good. If the Vrillians spoke first, they would set the tone. They would frame the argument. Tholrix stepped forward. Honored council members, 3 months ago I stood here and demanded that humans be restricted. I called them dangerous. I said they could not be trusted. Here it comes, Sujin thought. The final rejection. I was wrong, Tholrix said. Sujin blinked. Had she heard that right? I was wrong about humans, Tholrix continued. I saw only their capacity for violence. I did not see their capacity for wisdom. I did not understand why they resist war. But now I do. He turned to look at Young Ho. This human showed me the true cost of war. Not through words, but through memory. Through pain that has lasted 2 centuries. He showed me that war does not end when the fighting stops. It continues in nightmares and grief, in scars that never heal. Tholrix walked to Donghyun, and this human showed me that peace requires more courage than war. He put his ship between my vessels and enemy fire. He risked his life to protect us and to find a peaceful solution. He did not fire a single shot even when being shot at. That is strength I have never seen before. The Vrillian warrior turned to face the council. But I did not come here today to praise humans. I came here to tell you something else. Something important about my people. The council chamber was silent. Everyone waited. The Vrillian Empire has been at war for 600 years, Tholrix said. We fought the Karthan, we won. But we did not stop fighting. We found new enemies. We built bigger weapons. We trained every citizen to be a warrior. And we were proud of it, he paused. His voice became quieter. But I have been thinking, why do we always fight? Why do we always need enemies? And I realized something. We are afraid. A murmur went through the council. Vrillians never admitted fear. 600 years ago, the Karthan almost destroyed our world, Tholrix said. They killed billions of our people. They burned our cities. We barely survived. And ever since then, we have been preparing for it to happen again. We fight because we are terrified of being weak, of being victims again. He looked at Young Ho. But this human, this ancient warrior who lost everything, he is not afraid. He has faced the worst that war can bring, and he chose peace anyway. That is true courage. That is what the Vrillian Empire needs to learn. Another Vrillian stepped forward. She was taller than Tholrix, with silver armor and a scar across her face. I am Commander Velsha. I have fought beside Tholrix for 200 years, and I agree with him. We have been running from our trauma instead of healing from it. The humans have shown us another way. Sujin could hardly believe what she was hearing. The Vrillians were admitting weakness. They were asking for help. The Crystal Leader spoke. This is unexpected. What are you proposing, Tholrix? I propose that humanity be given a new status, Tholrix said. Not just as regular members of the council, but as peacekeepers, teachers, healers. I propose that humans teach us what they learned, how to process trauma, how to choose peace, how to be strong without being violent. That is madness, another alien said. It was a being that looked like Livingstone. Humans have been in space for less than a century. What can they teach us? Young Ho's raspy voice cut through the chamber. We can teach you how to survive your own pain, how to build a future instead of running from the past, How to love peace more than you fear war. The stone being turned to look at him. You speak boldly for someone in a wheelchair. This wheelchair is proof of what war costs, Young Ho said. I am 200 years old. I should be dead. But medical science kept me alive because humans decided that remembering was important. I am a living reminder of what we must never do again. Every species needs reminders. Every species needs witnesses. Sujin found her voice. The council asked us here to defend ourselves. To prove we are not dangerous. But the truth is more complicated. We are dangerous. Every intelligent species is dangerous. The question is not whether you have the capacity for violence. The question is what you do with that capacity. She walked closer to the council seats. Humans chose to remember. We chose to teach our children about war's cost. We chose to invest in peace studies, in conflict resolution, in trauma therapy. We chose to make peace our strength instead of war. That choice did not make us weak. It made us stronger than we ever were as warriors. Bora, who had come with Captain Dong-hyun, stepped forward. I am a xenoanthropologist. I study cultures, and I have learned something interesting. Every species in this council has experienced war. Every species has trauma in their history, but most of you do not talk about it. You hide it. You pretend it did not happen, or you turn it into glory stories about heroes and victories. She gestured to Young Ho. Humans do not hide it. We put it in museums. We teach it in schools. We force ourselves to remember the pain so we never forget why peace matters. That is our gift to the galaxy. Not weapons, not tactics, but the wisdom to know when not to use them. A new alien spoke up. It looked like a bird with iridescent feathers. My species, the Kevlar, we fought a civil war 300 years ago. Half our population died. We do not speak of it. It is forbidden to mention it in public. Is that wrong? Yes, Sujin said gently. Because if you do not speak of it, you cannot heal from it. And if you do not heal from it, you will repeat it. Pain that is hidden does not go away. It grows, it festers, it waits. Jinwoo, a human conflict resolution specialist, stepped forward. He was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a calm manner. I have developed something I call the shared memory protocol. It is a way for different species to share their historical trauma with each other, to understand that everyone has pain, that everyone has things they are ashamed of, that everyone is afraid of something. He pressed a button on his wrist device. A hologram appeared. It showed statistics, brain scans, therapy results. We tested this protocol with volunteers from 5 different species. The results were incredible. When people understood that others had similar pain, they felt less alone. They felt less afraid. And they were more willing to work together. The jellyfish alien that had spoken before floated forward. I volunteer. My species lost our homeworld to a natural disaster. We have carried that grief for 800 years. We have never spoken of it to outsiders. Then speak of it now, Jinwoo said. Let us hear your story. Let us share your pain. The jellyfish alien began to speak. Its voice was sad and beautiful. It told the story of a world covered in oceans, where its people lived in great floating cities. It told of the star that became unstable, that cooked their oceans away, that forced them to flee into space. It told of the millions who died because there were not enough ships. It told of survivors who spent generations floating in space, homeless, traumatized, broken. By the time the story ended, many in the council chamber were crying or showing distress in whatever way their species showed it. I am sorry, Sujin said. That is a terrible loss. But thank you for sharing it. Now we understand you better. Now we know why you are so protective of ocean worlds. It is not greed. It is grief. The jellyfish alien's tentacles trembled. No one has ever understood before. Because you never told anyone, Young Ho said. Pain that is shared is pain that can be healed. Pain that is hidden only grows. The stone being spoke again, but this time its voice was softer. My species was enslaved for 2,000 years. We do not speak of it. It is too shameful. It is not shameful to be a victim, Sujin said. It is only shameful to become an oppressor. Did you become oppressors? No, the stone being said. We became isolationists. We trust no one. We make no alliances. We keep to ourselves. Because you are afraid, Young Ho said. I understand. I isolated myself for 100 years. I did not let anyone close because I was afraid of losing them like I lost my family. But that is not life. That is just slow death. Thalaric stepped forward again. This is what I mean. Humans understand trauma. They have studied it. They have healed from it. They can help us heal too. The crystal leader's light pulsed thoughtfully. I have a concern. If humanity becomes our teacher, our healer, does that not give them power over us? Does that not make us dependent? Donghyun spoke for the first time. No, because we will teach you how to heal yourselves. We will show you the tools. We will share the knowledge. But the healing must come from within. We cannot fix you. We can only show you how to fix yourselves. And what do humans get from this? Another alien asked. Why help us? 6 months later, Soo-jin stood in front of a building on Earth. The building was new, built just for this purpose. It was made of white stone and glass with gardens surrounding it. A fountain stood in the center courtyard, water falling in peaceful cascades. Above the entrance, carved in a dozen different languages, including human ones, were the words, Seoul Institute for Galactic Peace. Today was the first day. Today the first class of students would arrive. Soo-jin was nervous. She had helped design the curriculum. She had hired the teachers. She had fought to get funding from the Earth government. But now that it was actually happening, she felt scared. What if it did not work? What if they could not teach peace to alien species? What if everything they had promised was just empty words? Stop worrying, a voice said behind her. She turned. Young-ho sat in his wheelchair, wrapped in a blanket despite the warm day. He looked even older than before, if that was possible. His face was gray. His hands shook constantly now. But his eyes were still sharp. I cannot help it, Soo-jin said. This is important. Then it is good you are nervous, Young-ho said. It means you care. People who are not nervous do not care enough. A shuttle appeared in the sky. Then another. And another. 10 shuttles in total landing in the courtyard. The doors opened and students began to emerge. There were Vrillians, including Thalrix and Velsha. There were Kevlar, the bird-like species. There were stone beings and jellyfish beings and dozens of other species Soo-jin did not recognize. 40 students in total, all of them here to learn about peace. Hae-won, Earth's lead psychologist, walked out to greet them. She was a small woman with gray hair and a warm smile. She had spent her whole career studying trauma and healing. If anyone could teach this, it was her. Welcome, Hae-won said. Her voice was amplified so everyone could hear. Welcome to the Seoul Institute for Galactic Peace. I am Hae-won, and I will be your primary instructor. Over the next 6 months, you will learn about conflict resolution, trauma healing, diplomatic negotiation, and peace studies. But more importantly, you will learn about yourselves, about your species' history, about your own pain and fear and hope. She gestured to the building. This is a safe place. Here you can speak about things you have never spoken about before. Here you can be vulnerable. Here you can heal. The students looked uncertain. Some looked scared. Some looked skeptical. But they all followed Hae-won inside. The first class was in a large circular room with windows looking out at the gardens. Comfortable seats were arranged in a circle. No desks, no barriers, just beings sitting together. Hae-won stood in the center. Let us begin with a simple exercise. I want each of you to share something. Tell us about a moment in your species' history that caused pain. It does not have to be detailed. Just one moment, one memory, and then tell us how it made you feel. Silence. No one wanted to go first, then Thalrix stood up. The big Vrillian looked uncomfortable, but he spoke. 600 years ago, the Karthan attacked my homeworld. I was not alive then, but every Vrillian knows the story. They killed billions of us. They almost destroyed our species, and we have been afraid ever since. We have been preparing for it to happen again. We have let fear control us for 6 centuries. He sat down. His clawed hands were shaking. Thank you, Thalrix, Hae-won said. That was brave. Who wants to go next? A Kevlar stood up. Its feathers were blue and green. 300 years ago, my people fought each other. Brother against brother, nest against nest. Half of us died. And now we do not speak of it. We pretend it never happened. We have laws against mentioning it. But the silence hurts more than the memories. One by one, the students shared. The jellyfish species told of their lost homeworld. The stone beings told of their enslavement. A species that looked like living fire told of how they accidentally destroyed an allied species through a misunderstanding, and how they had carried the guilt for 1,000 years. By the end of the first class, many students were crying or showing distress, but they also looked relieved, like they had been holding their breath for centuries and could finally exhale. This is the first step, Hae-won said. acknowledging the pain, speaking it out loud, sharing it with others who understand. The next step is learning how to process it, how to heal from it, how to make sure it never happens again. Over the following weeks, the students learned techniques: meditation, group therapy, conflict simulation exercises, historical analysis. They studied Earth's wars and how humanity had worked to prevent new ones. They studied other species' conflicts and looked for patterns. But the most powerful lessons came from Young Ho. Every week, he would sit with the students and talk. Sometimes he told stories about his life, about the village that burned, about the sister he lost, about the nightmares that followed, about the slow, painful process of healing. Sometimes he just listened as students told their own stories. One day, a brilliant student named Karen came to Young Ho's room. She was young, only 70 years old. She looked nervous. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course," Young Ho said. "Do the nightmares ever stop?" Young Ho was quiet for a moment. "No, not completely. But they get easier. You learn to live with them. You learn that they are just memories, not reality. You learn that you are stronger than your fear." "I have nightmares about the Carthan attack," Karen said. "But I was not alive when it happened. I was born 300 years after. Why do I dream about it?" "Because trauma passes down through generations," Young Ho said. "Your parents were afraid. They taught you to be afraid. Their parents taught them. It spreads like a disease. But here's the good news. Healing can spread the same way. If you heal, you will not pass the trauma to your children. The cycle can end with you." Karen's eyes filled with tears. "I want that. I want my children to be free of this fear." "Then you are already starting," Young Ho said. "Wanting to change is the first step. The fact that you are here learning, that is the second step. Keep going. Keep healing. You can do this." 3 months into the program, something unexpected happened. A message came from the Galactic Rim. The hostile forces that the Vrillians had detected were moving. They were heading toward inhabited space. The Council was preparing for war. The students at the Institute wanted to leave. They wanted to go home and help defend their worlds. But Sujin had a different idea. She called an emergency meeting with the students and teachers. "I know you want to go fight. I know you want to protect your people. But I am asking you to stay, to finish your training, because the galaxy does not need more warriors right now. It needs peacemakers. How can peace stop an invasion?" Thalrix asked. "Maybe it cannot," Sujin admitted. "But maybe it can prevent a bigger war. Maybe it can prevent unnecessary deaths. Maybe it can find a solution that no one else has thought of. That is what you are training for. To find the peaceful path when everyone else only sees war." Dae-jung, a human fleet commander, stood up. He was 50 years old, with gray hair and a scarred face. He had fought in 3 conflicts before humanity joined the galactic community. "I will lead a defensive fleet," he said. "But I will use everything humanity has learned. I will protect without destroying. I will defend without massacring. And I will look for opportunities to negotiate even in the middle of battle." "Let me come with you," Thalrix said. "Let me put what I have learned into practice." "Me too," said Karen. "And me," said a dozen other students. Sujin smiled. "Then we will show the galaxy what the Institute has taught you." The fleet that assembled was unlike any fleet in galactic history. Yes, it had weapons. Yes, it had shields and armor and all the tools of war. But it also had something else. Diplomats, counselors, negotiators, people trained in the art of peace. When they reached the border, they found the hostile forces, a species called the Raltok. They were massive creatures 10 feet tall with thick hides and powerful limbs. Their ships were crude but effective, and they were heading straight for Vrillian space. Dae-jung ordered the fleet to form a defensive line, but he did not order them to fire. Instead, he broadcast a message. "Raltok Fleet, this is Commander Dae-jung of the Galactic Defense Force. We are here to protect the border, but we do not want to fight. Please tell us why you are here. Please tell us what you need." The response was immediate. "Get out of our way or die. We need food. We need water. We need space. Our world is dying. We will take what we need." Thalrix stepped forward. "Commander, let me talk to them." "I think I understand." Dae-jung nodded. Thalrix opened a channel. "Raltok Fleet, I am Thalrix of the Vrillian Empire. I understand what it is like to fear for your species' survival. 600 years ago, my people faced extinction. We know the desperation you feel." There was a pause. "Then, you understand nothing. You have safe worlds, full bellies. We have nothing. Then let us help you, Thalric said. Not with weapons, not with war, but with resources. We have worlds that are not fully colonized. We have water and food. We can share. Why would you share? The Raltok leader asked suspiciously. Because we have learned something, Thalric said. War costs more than peace. If we fight you, thousands will die on both sides. Our resources will be spent on weapons instead of food. Our worlds will be damaged, and in the end, even if we win, we will have lost. But if we help you, if we share,